right, after a quick break there, like a week or so, I needed to get a whole new machine. So here we are now. Hopefully this one is going to be a lot better, but I have been doing a little bit more work with Tailwind, really trying to figure that out and making some progress there. And I did finish, well, I'm almost finished with the single column layout of the design I've been working on. And so all of this is just boilerplate, no biggie, not anything super stellar, but definitely something to be, that I've been working on. And let's see something real quick. Before we get started, I'm gonna boost some settings on my new machine. Okay, there, all right. So let's see what we've got coming up here. So the goal today is to really finish the one column design. I've got one more component or one more block that I want to wrap up, and then start working on some responsive design with Tailwind. So I decided to go with Tailwind as much as possible because I didn't really want to deal with all of the headache, honestly, of trying to move fast and using actual CSS. So, or SCSS, whatever it is. Let's see what's going on here. I can't see anything on my YouTube window here. Let's see what I can do here. My dog's barking in the background, so I'm gonna have to deal with that. All right, let's see if I can, let me pull up YouTube real quick while nothing is happening. Yeah, it's making me log in. I hate how often I have to log in with this stuff. Ugh. I guess it makes sense, but here we are. I don't know what my password is. Man. Whatever. Let's just take a look here in the good old Studio app, see if there is a current live video. Good enough. Well, fine, I will do this the right way. Give me 1 second before we get started. And I would show you what's on my screen, but right now I'm gonna be typing in the password, so I don't wanna do that. Let's see. But yeah, I figured while I was down for the count that I would keep working on this because I'm not even trying to log into the right thing. Yeah. Studio, YouTube. There we go. Let's see what we've got going on now. There we go. I finally found what I'm looking for, which is really I want to be able to see the chat. I don't think there is anyone chatting right now, and that's not a big deal, but I want to make sure that I'm available there for anybody who does want to pipe in. And I don't see any additional windows from OBS. So, oh, there's a whole chat pop up. All right. No biggie. Let's try this and then we'll get started. So yeah, I've been working on this a little bit while I've been waiting for my new machine to come in, because I didn't want to just stop work while waiting for a more powerful machine. So it is what it is. But let's go ahead. I can close that out now that the chat is ideally coming up. All right, So let that do its thing. And then let's just jump in, all right? So we've got, I got my terminal here. I'm gonna go ahead and launch our dev server here with pnpm run dev. And so this is much faster than it was on even the last video. So I'm really excited about this. But here you can kind of see what I've been working on, but there's no responsive design here. And so I have tested out a few different like features within PayloadCMS and the lexical editor, which you can see that there's some formatting going on here. But really what I've done is worked on a true color scheme. So picking a couple of colors that I like rather than just using Tailwind's built-in colors. And you can really, in the Tailwind config, put your own colors in there, which is nice, though it does overwrite. Like if you don't include the default features, they don't stay in there. So all I have are the colors that I've made, which is fine with me, honestly. So these are the colors that we're working with. And that, so we have just our basic white-ish background with some light colors to make the dark text pop a little bit more and just blend nicely. And so I've got a bunch of stuff here that is already designed. We can come back in here and redo the client logos. The FAQ section is mostly done. There's some other things that I might want to do with that, but this is just using client components to render the slide down there using a max height. And then we've got pain points, so what people might experience in their problems that I can market to using this style. So then I also have a sponsored section, which is probably going to work better for blogs. And then I have this steps section, which I did add some mobile responsiveness or some responsiveness there. And then I've got a steps block, steps with icons, a summary block, a table of contents, which I don't know if I actually did this right. So we'll take a look at that. And then content with map is really the only thing that I haven't finished designing yet. So we're going to go into that. So here we should be able to see a bit of everything. And there's not a whole lot that I want to do on the mobile version of this. But I may, with the text, if we can find our content with map block. So here's blocks. The FAQ, there's an error here that I need to do some more research in. So what I can really walk through here is that I've got this state and ref. I'm using state to manage the height. So when something is clicked, which is going to be a true or false value, I can set the height using a value here and then input it in with inline styles to input a height based on what is the current inner HTML of the div here. So what it does is when I click on it, it analyzes how much content is in the FAQ block. And then when I click on it, it inputs that number as a height, and then it'll transition. So it has a duration of 0.5 seconds to and 0.3 seconds to take it back in. So this just makes it easier to animate a drop-down feature. So it's not something that's easily done in CSS by itself, so I had to use some JavaScript there. All right, so we don't need that. We don't need this. We'll probably come back to some of this stuff that I was working on, but let's just go ahead and go to our content with map. And so I didn't do anything with this because I didn't want to type in any addresses around me in general. So I just pulled in an address from a town called Midlothian, Virginia. And then we come down here to content with map, and I have I brought this out as a component. So I have an address component, which is rendering this right here, and then we've got our index here. So this is what is actually being sent. So right now we just have the one column layout, which is fine. We've got an address, and then we've got the map. underneath it. Oh, for text position left. And so if I do is not left, it should flip to have the address above, I imagine. I should probably refresh. But yeah, so much faster. All right, and then there is no content rendered there. So what I really need to do is, so set that back to left. I'm gonna scoot in a little bit. And so there, we've got our content. And so that means that first we can change this from address to address and let it use the spread operator to drop all of the address properties in there, and then that's not going to change anything. And then I've got my button with, again, the spread operator to put in all necessary properties. And then here we've got our content. And so this is what's missing up here. So I'm just going to move this. I don't need this anymore. I destructured this the first time because I forgot about the spread operator. So instead of destructuring, I just have it go into the address component, which breaks it out for me here. And so if we come down, we'll probably want to put the content under. So if there's a button. All right, yeah, so here I need to figure out what I want to do. So I definitely want this to be above any buttons that show up. And it doesn't need to be in the column layout. So if I can drop this, I guess under the map makes the most sense to me. So it needs to be outside of columns. Oh, this is right, so this is fine. So up here, it needs to be outside of the columns and under the map. So we just can really put it in the same place. And so now if I do text position left, there we go. And so I did just notice something here, that the address should be on the right for when, it's not going to matter so much here, but it matters more like when it's right justified, but on the left. So I don't really like that. So we'll want to make sure that our address can take a class. So we'll do address and class name, and then we can add types here. Do class name string. So class name will be optional. That's what the question mark there is for. And we can just do, with Tailwind, I stopped doing the backticks instead of the quotes, and that's throwing me off. Here we go. So do that, and then just drop in class name there. Now, when we go back over to here, we see items end, which means we can get rid of this and make this render differently. So if we want to do, so I don't need to do the spread operator anymore. I actually need to drop in the address, which I don't know why I just did that. So address equals address, and then class name I can do items end for when it is, this needs to actually be items start. So yeah, that drops over there, and then I can come up here and change out my address to be items end. And so this is just saying to align the items to the left or to the right, depending on what I put in there. So now when I come in here and do the opposite, oh, there's an error somewhere in here. Oh, it's the same, okay. So now when I do this, the address shows up there. And so now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that the address shows up above the map. So I'm gonna, I'll leave this as items end, but this needs to flip down to the bottom, but only in larger display sizes. And so instead of a grid column 1, I want to do a flex. So we'll do medium grid, but then we'll do flex, then flex call reverse. And so now we have the address below the map. And again, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense over here at the end. So for the small size, we will do, so we'll do medium items end, but then do items start for smaller screens. So now that's going to flip over the address there, and then we should be good. Now I'm also noticing that maybe this gap doesn't need to be here. No, gap doesn't need to be there. It's this margin that I'm looking at. So I'm just seeing a weird, like this lines up, but then it doesn't line up with the content down at the bottom there. So if I get rid of MX4, which is saying margin on the x-axis of 1 rem, it expands to be more along the lines of all of this other content. So now I kind of have a style going here. So this light green rounded background with a shadow, sometimes small, sometimes medium, really just needs to go, I think, over where this content is, because the content is not going to wrap over with the address, though maybe it should at larger screens. We'll see when we get there. So for now, though, we will just wrap up this serialized lexical block, which actually we just want the class name here. So what we'll do is bg light green, then we'll have text will be dark green, and then we'll do rounded. I think we have been doing XL, and then do shadow, we'll do medium, just so it's a little bit more evident. And so now the PY is not a good idea. So if we do P4, that adds a little bit more space in between. And so beyond the P4 there, we also need a bit for the top. And so we want to do a margin top of, we'll say 4 again, just to keep things a little bit more clean. So now, while the edges of the text don't line up, at least the box lines up with what's going on here. And so that's, I think, going to do it for our content with map for the small size. And so we'll come back to it being responsive in a little bit. So we're going to come all the way back up to the top, because there's going to be some adjustment that needs to happen. First of all, this text is way too small for what it needs to be. And then I've got this button kind of messed up. You can't really see it with my face in the way. So I'm going to make this text bigger and then fix the button. And then once that's done, I'm going to work on making all of this responsive. And so I don't know if I would ever actually use a button for that. I should actually, hold on. Let's make sure I did this right, because I didn't add it to both. Yes, so let's fix that real quick. Where's my serialized lexical? It's down here. Okay, so now when I do this, it should come back. There it is. All right, so we're gonna jump all the way back up here. So this is the content no media block. So if I come here, let's make the text a little bit bigger. So we have our background of dark green, just to make it a little bit different from the rest of the layout. And so this is not like how the actual layout of the website would go, but this at least gets us started. All right, so we have a header, text light green, which I guess, is there a header here? Text light green. There is. Oh, but the problem is that I don't know what the problem is there. Is there any text here? No. Okay. So the thing is that I guess I didn't add a header here. And so when thinking about this, I may actually want this only to be a header, maybe a like H2 or something like that. But for now, I can just, if there's no header section, which is what this is saying, if there's a header section, then this and operator, it'll render, if it's true, if header section exists, header should render. And since it's not true, oh, well, it does exist. How do we want to do this? Header section. Oh wait, no, so it does not exist. I just keep doing this. So I have the text position set to right here. Let's go on up here and do this for it on the left. Then get rid of this text dark green because it doesn't make sense over a light or a dark green background. I don't know what this is actually doing here. So, oh wait, is this text position left? This is content with map. Ugh. So, all right, so we're good. We're back. Content, no media. So here's where I wanted to make the change, because if header does not exist, header section, which is wrong, header. So now when that refreshes, that should go away. Yes, there we go. All right, so now we can add in, we don't need to add anything in. Okay. So now we have our background of dark green. Then we have here the text light green, which is what we're seeing, and then a serialized lexical. And so really what I want to do is, not for the header, but for serialized lexical, is up the font size. And so I want to do text maybe 3XL. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, not text. It needs to be size. Maybe not size. So, yep, I'm still learning lexical for sure. Let's see what happens with this. Okay, not what I'm looking for. So if I want text, center to Excel. So it's already said the text large. Okay. So here is a problem because I would like to make this bigger in some places, but not in all of them. And so what we can do is, I guess, I won't always have a class name in lexical. So if I don't have a class name, so let's do this. Oops. All right. Do class name. If there is a class name, well, I guess it should be if no class name, text large. If there is a class name, don't do anything. So we'll just do, let's do undefined. So now if I go back to content no media and do class name text 3XL, let's see what happens. All right, so maybe text isn't the right thing I'm looking for. So I see text large still shows up. What happens if I get rid of it? There we go. All right, so there's another text large that is showing up. So let's find where that is. So we have text large there. But like, why did I do that? Text large. So content no media. Here, let's refresh. And so I still see text large in a span of, let's go over here. So we have text, we have our span, we have text accent, we have class name line through. So here's the thing. to no media, class name, text 3XL, which we see there. And if I get rid of this, it's able to write it over. So let's think this through. So if there's no class name, return text large. If there is a class name, return undefined. Or maybe I could just do class name and get rid of this. So it keeps bringing in text large, but it is not assigned anywhere except for right here. So let's do class name. Really, there's going to be an easier way to do this. It's just I'm being stubborn. Don't type next. No text. Yeah, so I don't really know where this is coming from. Otherwise, I would just delete it. But here's what we can do. So instead, well, I don't know if this is going to work now that I'm thinking about it, but let's just get rid of this text large and have only class name. Yeah, okay. So, oh, I think I know what's happening. There's another class name. Maybe not. I have no idea why that happened. Yeah, there's only one place for it. Oh. No, that's where it was supposed to be. I don't get it. That's fine. All right, so what that's going to do, though, is make all this other text really small, but we'll come back to it as we go. So 3XL, too big for that. So let's change it to 2XL, and that's better. So let's fix this button now. So let's see what we've got. Really, I don't know if I'd use the button here, but that's fine. So let's see here. I could just do this as is primary and do false, and that'll change. Not what I thought was going to change, but all right, that's fine. All right, so with this button, we'll want to do this class name as, let's make this its own thing. And then do a class name of, we'll say, border 2, border, I think light green is what it's supposed to be, and then BG, should be none. Oop. Yep, there we go. And so that's really the only style of button that's going to fit here, at least as far as I'm concerned. So if we want to do a hover state, though, let's do a hover that flips the colors. So if we do hover, we can do border, I guess dark green is fine, and then do hover text would also be dark green, and then do hover background light green. So now we save that, and if we hover, there we go. So now I'm wondering, is there a way to group those selectors there, like all those hovers? It doesn't make sense to me to have to write hover a bunch of times. So let's head on over to the handy dandy iPad. Okay, so sorry, it's having me log in. Oh, not Siri, sorry. Siri, go away. All right. All right, so let's take a look real quick. Let's go over to Tailwind. I'm gonna bring my iPad over here so I can be on mic. Two-factor authentication gets me every time. All right. That's done. All right. So here in the handy dandy Tailwind docs, I want to search for hover. And so just looking at this, we have hover states, pseudo elements. So we know all that can be stacked with other pseudo Tailwind visited focus when. So I don't see anywhere where we can stack. Can I group Tailwind hover state? Here, this might have something. So necessary cookies. All right, yeah, so this is what I'm looking for. I would love to be able to just have hover and then a bunch of chaining texts. Yeah, it doesn't look like there is a way to do that, but there is a way to, I guess, create the usable styles, but that's not really what I'm looking for. So that's a bummer. No biggie. All right. So let's head on over back to the computer. So now we've got to do some work making this responsive. So we're already in the content no media. Let's go ahead and just expand over. And so that's actually not terrible. The button gets a little long. So what we'll probably do is just make that inherit its width. So let's go ahead and do, instead of width, I wonder if width auto is going to make more sense here, even at smaller sizes. Yeah, so if I do that, yeah, that's perfect. So, and then I'm like in a more like left justified kind of look for all of this. So at, I think, larger size, I really want all of, if there's multiple buttons, I would like to do large and do, instead of MX auto, do MX0. So when I do that, with auto. So I guess once MX goes auto, or goes to 0, it brings the width all the way back up. So that's not what I'm looking for. So then instead of that, I just need to change, do flex and then just do flex. Sorry, no, justify, justify start, and do this only at large. See what happens. Nothing. All right, so let's see what's going on, because I need this to cooperate. Oh, okay, so I've got a bunch of styles going on inside the button itself. So instead of doing that, I'll still keep width auto, but inside the button itself, let's see what we have. We have flex and then items centered. That's perfect. Okay, so what we actually need to do is then at large do justify start. So now when I do that, at large, still nothing happens. Let's just so we can test things out here. Okay, so it's having a grid applied to it at the higher level. So if we do button, oh, right, so this is what I'm looking for. So instead of justify center, do justify start. So I have it like this. So if there's two buttons, so like if we scroll down, I gotta fix that. But what if I were to scroll down to anywhere where there are two buttons, it takes, it puts them into a column of two, but that's seeming to be a bit more difficult. So what I could just do instead is, I don't need to use grid for this. I can just use flex. So if we do flex, should do the same thing. So let's get rid of that. Then where do my buttons go? So let's inspect that. Flex gap 4. So now if we set width to auto, oops, that's the wrong thing. Let's do width auto, yeah. So let's go ahead and do let's get rid of this because I'm doing something different here. So this is what's actually happening inside the button. So now if we do width auto, get rid of that. All right, so that's not working like I want. So let's just go ahead and do oh, okay, so it's working exactly how it's intended. But if I do width auto, yeah, all right, and then do width auto, that should work. So let's do width auto, and then the reason that's not working though is because I'm not there. So this though should now be able to be adjusted. So I've got width auto, MX auto. So instead of that, now we can go back to content no media, do width auto, and then instead of MX auto, there we go. All right, so now we can do justify center. No, we have to do that at the button level. So if I do class name, and I can do buttons.length equals 1. I don't want to do all that though. Oh, why did nodes get added? Sometimes the auto completion for PyCharm gets a little wonky. So if buttons length equals 1, we can do justify center. And really, actually, I don't even need to do that. It should always be center at smaller screen sizes. But what I can do, so if I do justify center and then medium, justify start. Okay. So where's this justify between coming from? So this is where Tailwind gets me a little bit because I can't really see what component that's coming from. So if we do, I've got a button. Do we have justify between here? I do not see a justify between there. Well, let's go to our button container then. Justify start, justify center. At medium, that's fine, and then it's smaller. The center. Okay, so this is working as planned, but now there's still like this justify between that I have no idea where you came from. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Did I add that? That's wild if I did that. All right. Okay. I guess I blacked out then and just added that and didn't mean to. No big deal. All right, so this gets really long. I think that's okay. I can set a max width on the whole, I think. But I'm honestly not too worried about this. All right, so that looks fine. I don't know how many people typically will have like 2000 pixel monitors for the stuff I'll be doing. So now let's take a look here at what this is doing. So this has a background that just keeps growing. So what I'm gonna do is just restrict the width of this because there's not a whole lot else to do with it. And I wanna stop the text button from going to, oh, do I need to do justify center here? I don't think I do. Yeah, no, I don't. Okay. I'd like to stop the button from going all the way to the left for this. Well, maybe not. We'll see what it looks like. All right. So let's get up to about a medium screen size. And then go to our content with media. And then we're going to be working in the foreground here. And yes, of course, I'm sure there are many, many ways to be able to do this differently, but this is just how I have got it configured. So let's take a look. We've got all of that. Got a background blur on the text. And so we don't want to put a restriction on the content container, but we do want to do it here. So if we do a max, we'll say 72 seems like a lot. Can I do 40? Let's see if I know how to do this. Perfect. All right, so that's 48 rem right there. So that's as big as that's going to get. And honestly, that's probably a little bit too big. So let's go ahead and drop it down to maybe 36. Yeah. So I like that. And then we can just do a quick MX auto. Let it stay centered and let it grow. So I'm cool with that. And I'm cool with the test button, or the button going over to the left as well. And so, yeah, that looks good. Cool. So content with media then. If we go here, this is supposed to be like a row, my bad, row and column layout. So let's see, this is going to be about as like small as it can get. I think that's cool, but we will be able to break this pretty quickly. Let's see what it looks like at small. So if we do, let's start with text position. I don't know which one is going to be on the left and which one's going to be on the right. So we'll find out here in a second. Well, we can figure this out pretty quickly. So I like to do, let's get rid of that because I'll just be using a style, and then I can do background. Just set it to something like pink. I'll figure out which one I'm working on pretty quickly. Yep, all right, so it's this first one. Yeah. So we got that. And so then at, we'll say, let's take a look at like the width full, flex, flex wrap. Then let's switch it to a grid at a certain height. So we'll do, so let's do small and then switch it to grid. Oop. And then see what happens. And then do small grid calls 2. And actually I want it to be 3. So, well, maybe for small, 2 is fine. Let's see, is this gonna make sense if I do now small gap, small gap. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Now, of course, I don't really like that the text box is bigger than the image, so maybe I can get rid of this aspect square. No, so that's needed. But instead of object cover, no, that should be right. I'll fix that. So if I do height should be fit. I forget how I did this. I did this down here with the videos. Get out of there. So now like the video can get really big, but then the video stays the size of the container, or the text stays the size of the container. So I'll take a look at that in a second, but really what I want to do is make sure that this image can get bigger. So let's think through how we can do that. So do some coding in the browser here. We have our object fit cover. What else is there then? Cover. We got contain, we got cover, we got fill, we've got none. Scale down, inherit, initial, revert, unset. And so I think the problem is that it's just not, the container is not big enough, which means that I do think, well, here's where, and let's see if, I don't like this solution, but if I do, yeah, okay, so I can't do that here anyway. So if I do this though, wait, nope, okay. Okay, so it's still not gonna work here. So it must be done at the grid level. So let's see. So, I mean, that's not terrible. So now if I do, I gotta switch this, not from there. The image object should have cover. There we go. So here I want to figure out, how do I get these to be the same size? And again, I only really know how to do that in a flex box. So instead of small grid, if I do small flex and then do just keep the gap the same and then do here for width. So what's a little bit less than 1/2? Can I do 3/5? I can. Okay. So we do that and then do the same thing here. And do small no wrap. And then now I can do small align items stretch. So maybe I don't know how to do this because, well, let's refresh first. Yeah, there we go. All right, so it is stretching to the bottom of this margin bottom. Okay, so at small, there should be no margin bottom. Which now I'm curious, can this still work in a grid? So we're going to try that real quick before moving on. But instead of having to redo all of that, let's just get these small items, comment them. I still need the small gap 4. But then I can get rid of those and then do, that's not going to work, is it? Let's go ahead and just cut them out and then do small grid. Small grid calls 2. Again, sometimes hate the autocomplete. So now if we do 2 columns and then get our width, I can just undo all of this. It's no biggie. There we go. Okay, yeah, so I definitely over-engineered all of that. All right, so I want to use grid because I do think it's going to be more flexible and more easy to use as we get into the large size, which we're going to do here in a second. So let's get this a little bit more organized though. So since I'm still learning how to do Tailwind, I don't really know the best way to organize the project. I do know that people's main complaint with Tailwind is that it's difficult to keep track of all the different classes. So I'm starting to see that, but here, I mean, this kind of makes sense to me. So now I want to keep it here. I don't want to do forever, but I can do here at medium, do a span of probably 1 for the image and then 2 call span 2 for the text. And so that looks pretty good, but it is happening a little bit earlier than I want it to. Okay, what's happening here? So I think this is just an image container thing. So really what I think is happening is this. Is there a wrap that's happening here? Yes, okay. So really at medium is probably when I want it to go to the grid. So let's go ahead and do all of this, and do medium, and let this be large. Do large, get rid of this at medium. Do again this large. All right, so now we take a look. So yeah, still a little bit big for what I'm looking for here, but then we get up to our medium size and it goes to half. And I wonder now if I set this inner workings here, let's see, yep, it's here. If we do display flex, flex direction should be column, and then we can do align items stretch. Okay, maybe not. Justify content stretch. Nope. Justify items stretch. All right, so that's not going to work like I want it to. There's just all this space down there at the bottom that I would like to do something with, but let's see what we got here. So can I do justify? So not justify content. Can I do an items end? Justify items end. So we have our, so instead of this, can we do line items space, or not, justify content. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. All right, so space between is probably actually it. Yeah. All right, so this is what I'm looking for at the small, or the medium and beyond. So now we want to set medium. Oh, so actually we want to set it's over here. All right, so yeah, let's do this. Get it all broken here. All right, so now at medium and beyond, we want this to now be flex, medium, flex, column, and then we want justify between. So now if I do that and refresh, it's the same state. Perfect. Yeah, so that looks good. There's no additional styles, and so should be good there. And then if I go large, that's getting a little intense. So we'll want to restrict. We definitely want to change the max width of essentially everything. So because that just gets very large at big screen sizes. So what if we did like, let's see, not content container, but definitely the big div here. So I want to do max width, and then let's see, probably, I don't know what 2XL means. So let's take a look at our handy dandy docs. So we go over to Tailwind, and then we can do max am I not? Oh, this is Tailwind UI. That's not what I'm looking for. tailwindcss.com, and we'll search for max width. And so we're going to look through all of these widths real quick. All right, so yeah, these are screen sizes. So we want probably max width. 1280 seems like a good, no, so let's do this differently. So we're gonna come back over here, and instead of all of that, set this div to be max width and do 1440 pixels. Oh, okay. Max width 2XL. Okay. So we don't need that. Unless we do. It does not look like it. So now if we pull this. Yeah, there we go. So that's even probably a little too big. So let's just do max width 7XL. Yeah, so that looks good to me. But of course we need to do our handy dandy MX auto. The problem though is that the header is not included in that, so let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Yeah, okay. So it's cool that this does its thing. This is okay that it goes fully over. But now let's add in the same stuff here. This actually needs to change to dark green. And then put all of that in here. Nope. Maybe. Yeah, so let's take the header. Header in the first div. Header through the first div. And then we're going to take the text container. Put you here. Text needs to be dark green. Then all that looks good. But then we need the image. So image container, I think that was it. Yep, so now if we do us a refresh, the second one should be the inverse version. So that's perfect. So the primary buttons don't seem to have any text effect on them on hover, and only this one seems to. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So if I go to our button, so is primary, which all of these should be primary if they're showing up as they are. Oh, I think there's just, yeah, there's a shadow underneath. Okay, that's why I can't really tell. So what we'll do is a reversal. We'll do hover text will be dark green. Hover border will be dark green, and then on hover our text will be light green. So now I need to set the text dark green. I need to set not the text, the background to light green. Dummy. There we go. So it looks good. That should apply to all primary buttons. And really not light green. I need it to be BG. None. So now So let's go over to our Tailwind config. because I want to add transparent. Do I need to save this and restart the server? Nope, okay. So now if I do transparent, there we go. Cuts all the way through. That's perfect. So I need to do something with the secondary button as well. And then we will call it quits at the end of this because we did a good amount here. Let's actually come up here and let's do two things real quick. So in content, no media, we're going to set our div here to be max width of 7XL, which should bring everything in a little bit closer. Oh, if I did MX auto, it would. There we go. And so now we come all the way down. Oh, right. Let's take a look at this real quick. And if I do height fit content on this div here, which I thought was already done, but maybe I put it to the wrong thing. So let's add it to our lexical. Is that what I want to do? It's gonna look a little weird if it's not the same height. So no, I don't think that's what I want to do. But I don't think this needs to be so big. So if I did maybe a width of maybe 75%, well, there's the problem, is that I now have something of a decent height for these two, but the image is just, it's now too far away. I'll think on that a little bit. Because it would be nice. Well, I guess I could do something like I did down here with the video, where the text would slide down with it if it needs to. Because I'd rather that than this here. But we'll take a look at it. There's no real content in here, so it's kind of hard to say what we should do. So what else? What was I going to do here? Okay. Oh, okay. I think I was going to style this button, the secondary button, and then think through if I want to do height of fit content. I'm going to do it just so I remember. Let's do height fit. And then I can do, let's say sticky. And then top, I think I've done 20 before. So 20 is a little much. So what happens if I do top 0? So that looks to be about like 7 pixels. Nope, 5. Not even. 2. No, I think it is. Let's go back up to 5. Yeah, that feels good to me. So then we'll do the same thing here. Let's make sure that I don't have my hfit. Yep, right there's not where it belongs. That's the foreground. Then I come on up here. Hfit. So it doesn't belong here. It does belong here. Perfect. Cool. All right, so let's style our secondary button and then call it a night. It's been too long. So this actually should already work, but I think it's because, let's take this, that hover shadow, none can stay. These can move. To here. There's a hover, oh, hover BG white. All right, so that's not actually what I want. We can do, actually what I do want is, where's my border? Because I only want the dark green border here. Because what I actually want is for, so text tart green, yes. And then I want my BG to be transparent, and then I want my border to border white. So that's actually not going to work like I want it to. Let's take a look here. So I want it to actually be, oh yeah, it is supposed to be dark green. Oh, whoops. Let's get rid of that. And then instead of that, we just do border dark green. Now if I hover, I don't mind that. It tells me what's happening. I don't like the to border though. So if it's still doing it, that means that there might be another, yep, there it is. And then let's actually just change it to, yeah, that feels way better. Ah, so much better. Oh, okay. So I need to think about that as well. Well, hold on. Oh, it is a primary button. That's the problem. Okay. So we, content no media. Don't know what that was about. All right, so things like green. Button. Hover text dark green. Hover BG light green. So what happens actually if I do, if I go to button container, nope, if I go to button, and then I move this class name to the beginning. I don't know if this is actually how it works, but we're here experimenting. All right, back to the handy dandy docs. If I need to do So no, so I don't want to do a broad important. I just want, oops, more specific styles to be more important. That does not seem to be possible. So let's actually take a look back up here. If I can do is primary, set it to false. Yeah, there we go. All right, and then I can set the class name instead of text dark green. If I do text light green. There we go. So now it's no longer a primary button, and then everything else works exactly as intended. Cool. I think this is a great place to call it quits. Covered quite a bit, so we only styled, I guess, 2 sections, but honestly in an hour, as I'm explaining things, like, I think I'm pretty pleased with how far things have come. So what we covered today was really Tailwind, using the qualifiers to change display at small and medium screen sizes, setting our max width to be something that's a little bit more manageable, and then of course creating some rows, like a row layout of text. So I still want to work on, and like actually here in the content with media, there's a couple things that I still want to work on. I don't know if we'll come back to them right away, but really I want to have adjust image size to match height of text container. And really, I think I can do that with image. Can I do that with height auto? I really don't know. So it does not look like it. But honestly, hold on. So aspect ratio. Yeah. Oh, I guess I do need that. Aspect ratio. I guess ratio is what needs to be there. So do ratio. What happens? Landscape, which does nothing there. I don't think it's going to do anything here either. Well, it says aspect video, but it's very clearly a square, because I think it's added here. So unless actually I do, what happens if I do, so ratio, and then I can do overflow auto. Yeah, there we go. Okay. But of course, if I adjust the size of that, which this is better, and then I can do, set this to be, I guess here, line items stretch. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay. So if I change this then to be height auto, all right, so I know I'm supposed to be wrapping this up, but so now we have an aspect ratio of video that's being added to the div. And then we have this, which is a square. And so my height auto is not doing anything. Object cover is doing something, but let's get rid of aspect square as well. And this makes sense because I designed this in 1920 by 1080. But now if I want to do, what happens if it gets smaller though? So height auto now. Okay, well either way, if we change this to aspect ratio instead of aspect square. I don't think any of this class stuff. So let's get rid of that and see what happens here. I got to refresh. So I definitely have to fix some of the smaller stuff, but that's actually going to be easy because I can just change this to medium sticky, medium top 5. And then we need to reverse that. So wrap, reverse. All right, so we definitely do have some work to do. Let's go ahead and change this aspect ratio up there too, because none of that's really necessary. Neither is this. Perfect. Okay, so we're back to our normal state. All right, so nice little distraction there. So yes, we have, I think, finished. Well, we're going to come back because we do want to adjust the image size to match the height of the text container. And we just wanted to make it a little bit more clean, honestly. So, well, again, all right, one more thing, I promise. So I'm going to get rid of that height fit. Set this to medium sticky, medium top 5. Find the other height fit, get rid of that, because now that these are landscape, like that's much better. This is exactly what I wanted it to look like. And then I can fully round out the image. So let's do that, and then for real, call it quits. So we do that, and then come up here to the other image. And there we go. So we've got our rounded images. This actually matches. And so I feel good about that. So we'll go ahead now. We can get rid of this to do. And now we can call it quits. So thanks everyone for joining. Feel free to subscribe if you liked this, liked watching me struggle through Next.js, Tailwind, and using my new machine. Feel free to subscribe, get notifications for whenever I go live, which should now be, again, a couple times a week. So I really enjoyed this. Leave a comment, leave a question, and I will see you guys next time.